Hey everybody, this video is part of our full-length The Onside Kick podcast. You can find that on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes. You can pretty much find it anywhere, so we don't care where you listen. Just stick around and check it out.
This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with the Mark Weber.
Dub them E's.
And we're joined here on the Onside Kick this week, Sean Anderson.
I don't know what to do with my hands. Usually I'm the one doing the
You're
hosting
the one
stuff, so I'll just wave.
I'll just wave. You get to pull off the Dave from the Fast Break and just wave to the camera.
Because usually when I'm here on the Onside Kick, I'm usually filling in for him, and usually I just take his lines.
And so you just say dub them E's.
I don't have any lines. Like, my lines are all
E's.
Yeah. Also dub them E's. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for joining us here on the Onside Kick this week. Video podcast for YouTube. So, hey, you guys can see us trying to make
Is that what that is?
a normal thing for you guys on YouTube. If you're on Blog Talk Radio, thank you for giving us the download today. But we got a jam-packed show, guys. Going to be talking NFC title game, AFC title game. And then, Sean, another reason why we brought you in today, we're going to be looking at the GOAT and if it can be Aaron Rodgers. And, of course, Tom Brady's going to be in that discussion. But before we get to that one, let's start with the title games. We'll start with the AFC title game that has Sean's Patriots in there. But really the question to me for this game has nothing to do with the Patriots, because to me, they are the favorites. They are the ones everyone's expecting to win this game, especially at home, in order to move on to the Super Bowl. So I'm going to throw out this question. It's the title of the segment here on YouTube. For the Steelers, is Le'Veon Bell the key to the victory? Is he the one that needs to play well for the Steelers to beat the Patriots?
See, and I understand where you're coming from, or where the Patriots are the favorite here, but last year they were the complete favorites as well as against Denver, and we saw what happened there. I mean, I remember that, and I'm getting PTSD flashbacks just thinking about it. So, I mean, I understand where we're bringing up how they are the favorites. They went 14-2, but you also got to remember the Steelers were on such a hot run, and they're still on this hot run. I believe it's 7-game win streak now, 7 or 8 game win streak if you count the playoff games, and they've been absolutely on fire, and this mainly due to Le'Veon Bell. And I mean, the last game they played early in the season, you know, Big Ben was out, and Le'Veon Bell only had around 80 yards carrying, so he is going to be the key, because the past 2 games, over 150 yards in both games. If he's able to replicate that, you know, you're going to be able to get into field goal range, at least for Boswell, to keep, you know, earning that money and getting that contract.
So I think that's something we should remember from the Patriots being a favorite last year, is that the thing that came crashing down was offensive line not being able to handle a pass rush is really what it came down to. And the Steelers have another good defense. Now, I'm not going to say they're the Denver Broncos of last year, because they're not. They're definitely not that.
And but Texans were better, have a better defense
Yeah,
as well.
I would say the Texans had a better defense for sure. So I think that's part of it. You have to look into that to kind of replicate the pass rush that they faced last year, because you know, I know, Sean, this is one point that you like a lot, is the drop in the passer rating for Big Ben. If you are in New England and you're going to fall behind, you're not going to catch back up. That's just the way it is. You are not going to catch back up to the Patriots. So they have to kind of figure out that way to stop the Patriots from scoring these points. A big part of that beyond the defense is going to be Le'Veon Bell, of course, because if he can run effectively, you're going to control the clock. And if you keep Tom Brady off the field, it's a hell of a lot better than having Tom Brady be on the field when he's going to carve up your defense.
And that's the thing that Bill O'Brien wanted last week when the Patriots and Texans faced off, was creating turnovers and then controlling the clock, not giving Tom Brady chances and making him play from behind. Obviously, he's been doing that his whole career. I mean, obviously, he's been able to lead comebacks throughout his whole career, but still, you don't want to give him the lead. You don't want him to get comfortable. And, you know, Tom Brady's been able to pick apart Mike Tomlin's defenses in against Mike Tomlin's defenses. He's 5-1, 71.2% completion percentage, averaging around 315 yards per game, 19 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 118 passer rating, and 33 points per game. So he's been able to tear apart Mike Tomlin's defense. So you're going to need to not only control the clock, like Mark said, but you're going to need to be able to run the ball effectively and be able to get first downs and move the ball down the field and at least get points out of every drive. And the one thing, obviously, against the Chiefs that they weren't able to do was actually get into the end zone. You're going to need to be able to punch it in.
And I mean, that's the thing I was kind of thinking of, is you have to get touchdowns instead of field goals if you want to win this game. The only thing that's going to be beneficial in this one is the Patriots defense is good, but they are nowhere near what the Chiefs defense is on paper.
See, but you say that, and I mean they give up less points per game. They give up less yards per game.
I'm
the
not
only
saying
thing that
they're
they
not
don't
a good defense. I'm just saying they're not on that. On paper,
no,
they're not on that next
no,
level.
what they are is they're not sexy. The Chiefs' defense was just sexy because they got sacks and interceptions. But, I mean, even then, they didn't average that many sacks. And, I mean, the Patriots are pretty much neck and neck with them at sacks. It's just that the Chiefs were able to force turnovers. But the big thing is that the Patriots, when they force turnovers, they score. They have the biggest points off turnover differential. So when they turn the ball over, they're not letting their opponents score. And then when they do get turnovers, they're turning those into points. And the Chiefs weren't able to do that.
And that's the thing. I mean, if you... Let's say the Steelers do exactly what they did last week and they're getting field goal. You're obviously not going to win if you get a field goal, Tom Brady gets a touchdown. Oh, you punted on this drive, Tom Brady gets a touchdown. I mean, last week you look at it, Lamar Miller had 73 yards on 19 carries. Now is Le'Veon Bell a much better running back than Lamar Miller? Yes, but the thing that the Patriots are so good at, and I don't want this to sound like I'm just writing off the Steelers right away, because I think that both this AFC title game and the NFC title game, these could be the best games that we see all year. But the thing that the Patriots do so well is they're so well coached with Belichick to where he's going to zone in on something. He's going to take something away, where he might say, we're going to take Le'Veon Bell away. Beat us otherwise. Beat us when you don't have a run game. Try that out, because now we can just ball hawk you.
And the one thing that's really the big thing that I haven't heard anyone mention is that people forget that in the first matchup when Le'Veon Bell was held to around 8 yards or 81 yards, around 80 yards carrying in that game against New England, the New England Patriots still had Jamie Collins, who's one of the most athletic linebackers in the NFL. So taking him away from this New England defense, Le'Veon Bell isn't going to be able to kind of wait patient, or he's going to be able to wait patiently like he did against the Chiefs, because against a guy like Jamie Collins, he's able to be so quick and get to you so quickly and at least force you some other direction and at least stall you back in the backfield. So he had 8 tackles on that day. He didn't have any tackles for losses, but he was still able to constantly be around and constantly be attacking Le'Veon Bell. So that's one thing that the Patriots did lose, and that's really going to be beneficial to the Steelers.
And something to point out with the defense here is defense of the Patriots. So yes, they give up not as many points as, say, the Steelers do. But I do want to say that I think that's a little bit of a skewed statistic, because of they shut out the Texans. They were able to hold the Broncos and the Jets to 3 points each. These are not teams that have impressive quarterbacks. So I don't think that's as impressive as it could be, because I think that's bringing down that average quite a bit. And of course, the Rams only scored 10 points on them as well. So Big Ben is a much better quarterback than any of those. Brock Osweiler, of course, being the best quarterback of that bunch.
And I mean, the big elephant kind of in the room is these two teams met earlier this season. Yeah, it was a 27-16 win for the Patriots, but Landry Jones played that game. Big Ben was out in that one.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, Tom Brady had 2 touchdowns, no INTs. LeGarrette Blount in that one was the leading rusher who had 2 TDs. But Le'Veon Bell wasn't able to get what he was or has been the last few weeks. And then you had Landry Jones as your quarterback.
And pretty much we can just preface it by this isn't going to be the same matchup. I mean, Deion Lewis is also back for the Patriots. Jamie Collins isn't with the Patriots. LeGarrette Blount's a little banged
Basically,
up.
that first game should be thrown out.
Exactly.
It's not even worth talking about.
Exactly. And plus, that was the Steelers at home, where obviously Big Ben is completely different away. Completing under 60% of passes. Pretty much one-to-one touchdown interception ratio. You saw last week what he was able to do against the Chiefs. I mean, they were able to move the ball, but I don't think he had over 250 yards passing. Obviously wasn't able to get into the end zone. So obviously Big Ben does struggle. He's a little bit banged up still. I mean, obviously with that last play against the Dolphins, getting his ankle and leg kind of torn around, he didn't look really too mobile against the Chiefs. So that's one thing where this is a completely different game, and you really shouldn't be looking too much into the stats of that Patriots game. And really the only thing you should be looking at is just how is Big Ben being back and then being away really going to affect the Steelers.
I want to throw out this question. It's one that just popped into my head that I was pondering really quick. If Tom Brady wins this game, obviously everyone knows what that means for his legacy over on. 4 Super Bowls right now, if he can go
4
to
Super Bowl wins. This is
Super Bowl
7th
wins,
appearance.
that's what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
if he can go on and win, he can maybe get his 5th Super Bowl win.
Which would be the most of all time.
We know that. On the other side, though, on Big Ben, how much for his legacy would this, like, of course, if I ask the question, this game, whose legacy does it mean more for, you're going to say Big Ben. But because of that, why? Because is it only he'd have a chance for a 3rd Super Bowl ring. He'd be going back to a Super Bowl. I believe that the Steelers haven't been to the Super Bowl since they lost to the Packers. I think that was, 2010, 2011?
Yeah,
Something around
2010,
there?
because then 2009 was Cardinals Steelers, and then 2006 too.
Yeah, that was a bad year.
And I mean,
Bad year.
Or 2005? Because 2006 was the Colts. But anyways.
basically what I'm asking is, what would a win in this game do for Big Ben's legacy?
Well, I think that Big Ben. I mean, you look at the past conference championship games. You see 6 appearances for the Steelers since 2000 and 2000. Really, I mean, since the start of the century, you got 2001. Big Ben didn't play in there. 2004, then he didn't play in there. 2005 though. 2008, 2010, and then now 2016. He's been pretty much the 3rd best quarterback in the NFL since 2006, and I'm saying at least accomplishment wise because again Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers hasn't been able to get that many accomplishments. Big Ben being up there and competing in a conference with Peyton Manning and Tom Brady and still being neck and neck with those guys consistently. I think that speaks a lot of volumes to not only the Steelers as a franchise, but Big Ben as a quarterback. But I think that he's always going to be overshadowed by guys like Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. I think this means more to Tom Brady's success because he will be able to take over that record. He'll be the first ever quarterback and first ever player with 5 rings. So I think something like that means more to his legacy, where Big Ben, I think everyone knows that he's already the greatest Steeler quarterback of all time, because while Terry Bradshaw did have 4 rings with the Steelers, Big Ben's a better quarterback than Terry Bradshaw. I mean, Terry Bradshaw had one of the best defenses of all time. He had a fantastic coach in Chuck Noll. So I think that Big Ben doing this with Mike Tomlin and kind of the lack of weapons he had early on. Obviously, he had a great defense early on, but we've also seen him adjust to weapons like Bell and Brown. I think it means more to Tom Brady, just that you will have the chance of 5 rings and 7 appearances in the Super Bowl.
I think that something you bring up, I like that you talk about how Terry Bradshaw's legacy kind of gets a little overshadowed by the defense. Mm-hmm. I think that's exactly the same thing for Big Ben. I think Big Ben's legacy, really, when we think about it now, assuming he does not win another Super Bowl, it's going to be he did really well early on because he had these great defenses up in Pittsburgh. And then later on, when the defense started to fall apart, he didn't do well anymore. He did not go and he did not lead his team. He was being supported by a great defense. I think that's what a lot of his legacy is, because you talk to people about the best quarterbacks in the NFL, Big Ben gets left off the list all the time. He's always getting left off the list. He's always that kind of, oh yeah, and then there's Ben Roethlisberger. Because we kind of are past it. We used to love that he, like I keep saying, Big Ben, we used to love that he would not get hurt. And if he did get hurt, he didn't care. He was still out there.
Is it because he's been getting hurt the past couple seasons?
Well, that's pretty much.
I think it's changed the legacy, yeah.
I think that really plays a factor, because 2012, 13 games played, and then 2013, 2014, obviously staying healthy with playing 16 games. But now 2015, 12 games played, 2016, 14 games played. And even though he played 16 games in 2013 and 2014, he's constantly been banged up. And that's really because not only has his offensive line been banged up, but I mean, he's just been taking so many hits throughout his whole career. So I think that Big Ben's legacy is that he's a great quarterback. He's just outshined by others because he does fantastic things. He's got a great arm. He's got great mobility for a guy his size, but it's just one thing where he just doesn't do enough to constantly be in the Super Bowl and constantly be in the AFC Championship game. But that's also because he's been going up against Tom Brady and Peyton Manning in the same conference.
And that's exactly what a big issue for Big Ben has always been and will always be, is that regular season, it goes to Peyton Manning. Super Bowls, playoffs, it goes to Tom Brady. So where does that leave Big Ben? Runner up? He's
greatest AFC North quarterback.
Yeah, like he doesn't have that one thing he can really cling to. He's just that guy who's like, oh yeah, and Big Ben is a really good quarterback as well.
Well, and I mean, I look at even the coaches too, where it looks like in this one, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, like when it comes down to the legacy conversation of Bill Belichick, another Super Bowl win would kind of it's just a cherry on the top. Greatest Patriot coach that has ever lived.
Greatest coach of all time.
But the one thing is, now look at it from a coaching side. Mike Tomlin, too. To me, I felt like Mike Tomlin has always had to live in the shadow of the great Steeler head coaches, even like a Cowher. Because Cowher won that one against the Seahawks. It's like, even though Tomlin did win that one Super Bowl against the Cardinals, I always feel like we look back to that old Steeler team. It's like, well, why couldn't you beat the Packers? Why isn't Mike Tomlin bringing this team to the Super Bowl more?
I'm still asking why they couldn't beat the Packers in that game. The Packers were terribly injured. Multiple players getting injured in that game, and they couldn't go forward and win that game. I still don't understand that one, but that's a different conversation. No, I think that for Tomlin, I don't think that his legacy is going to be that big of a deal. And I'm sorry to Steeler fans in that case, but Tomlin really, much similar to Big Ben, where he's not getting loved, I don't think Tomlin really gets the credit he deserves. He gets the love that he deserves. People kind of just appreciate that. Yeah, he's pretty good. He's good. I'd rather have him maybe than, most coaches in the NFL, but that's all I'm going to say about him. Exactly like Big Ben, where Belichick, it's like, yeah, I'll take Belichick over absolutely anyone. Tom Brady, people are going to say, yeah, I'll take Tom Brady over pretty much anybody. That's just kind of the legacy that these guys have cemented. And I don't know if it's because the Steelers have not in this recent era had as much success as the Patriots or regular season as Tom Brady. I'm sorry, as Peyton Manning in the regular season. But they really do kind of go unloved in that case. Even though they really do have a lot of that same success, it's just that they don't kind of finish it, I guess.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the most appearances since 2000, they're second all time with 6. And in championship games, 6. I mean, it goes Patriots with 11. I mean, 11 and 15. That's the reason they're being outshined. 11 out of 15 years, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick have made the playoffs. That's 73% of the time. That's more than Sam Bradford's completion percentage this year, which was an NFL record. So, I mean, 11 and 15 years is absolutely ridiculous. So it's going to be pretty much impossible to match that. But, I mean, what they've been able to do is just consistency. I mean, Mike Tomlin's been the coach of the Steelers since for 10 years now. And looking back on that, I saw that graphic on Sunday Night Football, and I said, holy shit, like 10 years? I feel old. I mean, Mike Tomlin seems like a brand new coach. I always remember Cowher as the coach of the Steelers, and that just made me feel ridiculously old that, most of my life, Mike Tomlin's been the head coach of the Steelers, but I just didn't realize that. And looking at that, I mean, the Steelers have just been outshined by the Colts and the Broncos because of Peyton Manning in the regular season, and then the Patriots have been just completely dominant with 6 straight AFC Championship games, and it's really hard to match success of that level.
Well, I think how we'll end this one is very simple. What do you guys see playing out when these two teams meet this weekend? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think an interesting thing to think about is the motivation here, because you have a team in the Pittsburgh Steelers who really fell victim to bend, don't break. And that's exactly what the Chiefs tried to do. Unfortunately, they didn't win. But in this situation, they were saying, we're going to limit you guys to field goals. Does that motivate Le'Veon Bell? Does that motivate Antonio Brown and Big Ben to actually go out there and score as many fucking touchdowns as possible? And then there's the other side of it, of Bill Belichick telling his team, you did not play well enough to beat the Steelers. You guys were not good enough. You have to play better if you want to win. Which one of these teams are really going to feel that motivation and go forward? To me, even though I really like a lot of the pieces that the Pittsburgh Steelers have, and even though I feel like I've been slightly negative on the Patriots in this video, I'm going to pick the Patriots to win this one. I think they have the better whole team going forward, where I think there's just a lot of really good parts to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I don't know if they have everything that the Patriots have to get that win.
This game is going to really be won at the start of the game, and it's really going to be whoever wins that coin toss, because obviously there's 60 minutes in the entire game, but
basically whoever gets the ball first.
Not even that. It's whoever gets the ball first, and what do you do with the ball? If the Steelers get the ball and go down the field and score a touchdown, that sets the precedent that we are motivated, we can score on this offense, and that's going to give the Steelers the confidence that they need to beat the Patriots in Foxborough. If the Patriots get the ball and it's a 1, 2, 3 passes down the field, they score a touchdown, Patriots are just going to put the Steelers out right away. But if the Steelers are able to go down the field and get a field goal and kind of at least get points, so you're not down right away, and then they're able to get a stop on Brady, you get the confidence. It's going to be pretty much whoever sets the tone right away, whether it's the Steelers defense stopping the Patriots or the Patriots defense stopping the Steelers offense, or the other way around, the Steelers scoring and the Patriots. It's really going to be who sets the tone early, because I think it's going to be very similar to that Packer game, the Packer-Cowboy game, where the Packers get a stop on the Cowboys and then they're able to go, or at least hold them to a field goal, and then go right down the field and get a touchdown. That really set the confidence to see that first half in motion. And that first half, if the Packers don't have that first half, they're not winning that game. So it's really about setting the pace here, and I think the Patriots will be able to set that pace. I don't know if they're going to be winning the coin toss and getting the ball first, but I think they're at least going to be able to hold the Steelers on for a field goal the first time, and then score a touchdown, or get the ball to start the game and then score a touchdown. I think the Patriots are going to win. I think it's going to be close to like 34-31.
I am going to hope, and I am hoping. I'm saying it that way because I'm not necessarily going to say, oh, this is going to be a great game. I'm hoping this is going to be a great game because of what you have. The Pittsburgh Steelers, the New England Patriots in Foxborough, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were the one before the podcast, Sean, that told me about it. When Antonio Brown was Facebook Living, what did Mike Tomlin call the Patriots?
He said that they were assholes, these assholes. He wasn't saying, like, he was just more motivating.
Yeah.
He's not calling the Patriots an asshole, but he's like, these assholes have had a day to prepare. And I mean, that's really all he said was, these assholes have had a day to prepare. We need to get our ass on a 4 a.m. flight and show them why we're going to win.
And that, to me, is that going to be like, is something like that, plus, like, Mark, what you said, hey, we didn't score a touchdown last week. We got to come out, score some touchdowns. Is that going to be motivation for the Steelers? Is the Patriots going to come out and say, and here's the big motivator, I think, for the Patriots, and it's what I've been saying all year, pissed off Tom Brady. It's basically been, hey, you know what, Deflategate, pissed off about the 4-game suspension, has come out in a different time, like a better Tom Brady than we are used to seeing. And that is why I'm siding with the Patriots in this one, because they do have Tom Brady, they do have Julian Edelman, they do have Deion Lewis when he's on his game, but the Steelers do have weapons themselves, and that's why I'm hoping this is just a great game overall.
Real quick, one thing that I did realize is that I said that the Steelers were going to score 31 points. The Patriots have only allowed over 30 in one game, and that was to the Seattle Seahawks, and they lost that game. That was the only time a team has ever scored over 30 points. So it's going to be a different dynamic too. Are the Steelers actually going to be able to put over 30 points, and how is that really going to affect the defense for New England?
Let me ask you this, gut check time. If the Steelers do score over 30 points, is there any way the Patriots win if the Steelers score over 30?
Yeah, I said Patriots 34-31, so I think they're going to win.
Okay, I just wanted to ask because
I totally. I think this game's going to be won on the ground for the Steelers. If they're able to get Le'Veon Bell to over 150 yards carrying, I think it's very possible that he will be able to do that. That's not only going to mean they're controlling the clock, but they're also being able to control the running game as well, and really control the clock, control the movement of the ball, and that's really going to win the game for the Steelers. If they're able to do that, they'll win the game.
Well, you guys know what this means. This means you guys come in, let us know either down below in the comment section what you guys think about this game. Is Le'Veon Bell the key to success? Who's going to win? What do you think from the game? Let us know what you think about the Big Ben kind of legacy talk we had as well. If you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, obviously hit us up on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod is the easiest place to do that.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that. And don't worry, there is plenty more where that came from. You guys can check it out right over here. Click that video, start watching it, and just stick around on Most Valuable Podcasts.